Ketanji Brown Jackson is going to be the next Supreme Court Justice, no matter how hard the GOP tried to smear her. Welcome to Mamocrats Mama Chat. I'm Donna Schwartz-Mills, here with the lovely Eliza Worthington and Carol Lee, both from CrookedLiars.com. And those hearings were something.
They were worse than I thought
they were. They were worse than. Yeah, I mean, they were worse than Sotomayor's, I thought. And I thought hers were terrible.
I don't, you know what? I don't have that.
You remember those, Donna?
I remember those, but you see what happened after Sotomayor was we had 3 illegitimate Trump appointments. And we had very good reasons to fight at least 2 of those. I think the Neil Gorsuch ones were just pretty normal hearings, despite the fact
they were
anger,
too normal. Yeah.
For anger at what Mitch did in stealing that seat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, they wanted...
But in terms of the nominee himself.
This entire hearing, just like the Clinton impeachment was payback for Watergate, this entire hearing was payback for Kavanaugh. That's why they went in on these spurious child pornography sentences.
That's not the only reason.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, there are a couple of different reasons, but that's certainly one of them. I mean, it was, they were playing to the QAnon crowd, the Pizzagate people, all of those. They were doing that, and let's just call it what it is. I mean, it was pure outright racism. They were trying to, tie a Black woman to being soft on crime and soft on sex crimes in particular.
Soft on the worst imaginable crime.
Right.
And a Black woman who was more highly qualified than the last 3 justices combined, had higher qualifications than any of the senators in the room.
Yeah.
More years on the bench than the last 4 justices combined.
She ticks every single box. None of the other justices on the court tick every single box.
Yeah.
I mean, not to mention that her intellect is just amazing. The one moment for me that I will never forget in those hearings was when Ted Cruz was questioning her and she had that long pause.
Did you read Ellen McFall's piece on that?
I did, but I had already commented on it, like on Twitter and everything else. I mean, you knew you could almost read her mind in that moment. It's like, do I just give this guy what he deserves, or do I just take a deep breath and move on?
And she couldn't do what Brett Kavanaugh did.
Right.
Couldn't do that. Couldn't cry. Couldn't scream, couldn't have a tantrum.
Couldn't rip his head off, which is what he deserved.
Instead, and in this moment she paused, but I loved how her answer to every question began with "Thank you,
thank you,
thank you,
Senator."
As she gathered her thoughts, and I'm like, oh, she is cool. She is so cool.
Yeah.
All I have to say is I hope she didn't eat those 2 days of hearings, because that would make you so sick. It's like I hope she had a way to get that out afterwards, because honest to God, it was just, and having Marsha Blackburn as the last questioner, it was just like, oh my God, this woman, I mean, anybody who knows or has followed Marsha Blackburn knows how stupid and racist she is. Right. Yes. And it just, I don't even know what she's doing on that committee.
They don't always go together. Stupidity and racism do not always go together. There are plenty of
there are plenty of smart racists,
and smart people who are super racist. But I'm saying this because I know a lot of people who just dismiss racism as, the thing of stupid people, but it's not.
Oh, it's not.
But in her case, that combination in her is just.
Really.
I remember when she was in the House, I thought, she is, it's neck and neck with Louis Gohmert. as the stupidest member of the House, and then they elect her to the Senate, and I'm like, what is wrong with Tennessee?
I know. And Michelle Bachmann. I mean, she's right up there with Michelle Bachmann too, who is also incredibly stupid. But because Republicans, their cynicism only allows them to promote women who are actually stupid. I mean, that's what they do. There's the smart ones. I mean, Joni Ernst may be the exception to that rule, but
Liz Cheney ain't stupid.
Well, she's
not stupid the way,
but they're not promoting her either.
No, they did promote her. She was in leadership.
Yeah. Well,
sure.
By virtue of
big lie. This is pre-big lie,
right.
And
pre-Trump, all of it.
So anyway, there were a lot of clips that I could have taken from those hearings that would have enraged us. But instead, I decided to go with the one that was going to make us
people
happy.
Become public defenders for the money? No. Your family and you speak to service, service, service. And I'm telling you right now, I'm not letting anybody in the Senate steal my joy. I told you this at the beginning. I'm embarrassed. It happened earlier today. I just look at you and I start getting full of emotion. I'm jogging this morning and I'm at the end of the block I live on. And I get terrified because I put my music on loud when I'm jogging, trying to block out the noise of the heart attack I'm having. And this woman comes up on me, practically tackles me, an African-American woman. And the look on her eye, she just wanted to touch me because I'm sitting so close to you and tell me what it meant to her to watch you sitting where you're sitting. And you did not get there because of some left-wing agenda. You didn't get here because of some dark money groups. You got here how every black woman in America who's gotten anywhere has done, by being like Ginger Rogers said, I did everything Fred Astaire did, but backwards in heels. And so I'm just sitting here saying, nobody's stealing my joy. Nobody's gonna make me angry, especially not people that are called in a conservative magazine demagogic for what they're bringing up that just doesn't hold water. I'm not gonna let my joy be stolen because I know you and we appreciate something that we get that a lot of my colleagues don't. I know Tim Scott does. When I first came to this place, I was the 4th black person ever popularly elected to the United States Senate. And I still remember a lot of mixed people, white folks, black folks work here, but at night when people are in line to come in to clean this place, the percentage of minorities shift a lot. And so I'm walking here, first week I'm here, and somebody who's been here for decades doing the urgent work of the Senate, but it's the unglamorous work that goes on no matter who's in offices. The guy comes up to me, all he wants to say, I can tell, is, I'm so happy you're here. But he comes up and he can't get the words out. And this man, my elder, starts crying. And I just hugged him. And he just kept telling me, it is so good to see you here. It's so good to see you here. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, sorry, the audio is enough.
Yeah. I mean, he was great. And I don't know, the whole notion of stolen joy is biblical. I mean, she recognized that right away. I mean, Paul exhorts Christians to not let evil people steal their joy. So, and that was a direct reference to that. And so it was
No, the Jews in the room didn't know that. We just know about suffering.
I mean, I shouldn't laugh, right? It's not funny, but I know what you meant. I mean, Eliza's suffering, so she's not laughing with us.
Well, if I laugh too hard, I'll start coughing. So
yeah, yeah. So, but not COVID, so it's all good. We're not spreading COVID through the internet or anything like that.
No, sinus.
Yeah. So yeah, no, Cory Booker was great. And I think up until that point, there'd been a lot of anger. I mean, I know for me, there was a lot of anger.
Oh my God.
And there was a lot of anger, I think, from others that were observing. And I'm sure that was true in the room too. I'm sure the tension was terrible in that room. But in that moment,
letting the toxic air out of a balloon.
That's what I was just going to say, is he just like totally changed the whole mood into and refocused on really what we should be thinking about, which is that this is a historic thing. I mean, she had to run the gauntlet of all these stupid Republicans, and I don't use stupid, it's a pejorative. I mean, I know that Ted Cruz is not stupid, okay, but
he just
he's
plays
evil.
stupid on TV.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean,
he played too stupid as in TO. He plays two stupid people, and he does it on purpose. He's so good.
Right. Yeah, no, you're right. But I mean, she had to run this gauntlet, a gauntlet that nobody should have to run, that is as qualified as her and has such a pristine reputation as she does.
Yeah.
Right.
But she did it, and she did it with all this grace and dignity that I certainly didn't have. I mean, Elie Mystal at one point said he would serve as her anger translator, and I was thinking, he's like all our anger translator, right? I mean,
his whole Twitter thread was everybody's anger translator.
Oh, he was because I couldn't watch the whole thing, and just reading his live tweets,
I know he was great.
Me up to speed, but
Maya Wiley was on Chris Hayes and said something about that she needed an anger translator, and Elie Mystal said, "I'm right here, you guys."
Right, I'm over here. Here's your anger translator. And I thought, yeah, he's like for everybody that was watching that. And I worry about him because, I don't want him to like have a heart attack or a stroke or something. Like, I really want him to make sure that he's keeping all that, in line and everything, because he's such a brilliant mind and such a voice that we need in this time to listen to, So, yeah.
And MSNBC, you have to put him on a contract, please.
Yes,
please. Getting paid.
Yeah, pay the guy.
Right. I mean, put him on a Peacock show, right? And then pay him to be commentator on MSNBC.
I guarantee he would get big ratings on Peacock.
He totally would.
Ratings on Peacock are.
I actually would subscribe. I am subscribed to Peacock, but if I weren't, I would if they gave him a show.
Yep. Yeah, right.
So, yeah, they should do that thing.
So it looks like no Republicans are going to, the whole idea of bipartisanship on judicial appointments is dead.
Although some people think there might be a few. Some people think that, no, you're shaking your head.
Lisa Murkowski, Mitt Romney, I don't think they're going to.
No. Susan Collins has already said she has concerns.
Oh, well, I never thought Susan Collins was a possibility. Yeah, I thought there was a chance that Lisa Murkowski, and I actually thought there was a chance that Tom Tillis might, but because he's got nothing to lose. But I don't know.
I mean, Tom Tillis was the good cop to the rest of their bad cop. I mean, I didn't see him as being any more.
I have some very smart, very in the know acquaintances who think there's a chance it might be more than 50.
I would love to be wrong.
All that matters is she's in. If you care about bipartisanship, that's gone. But she's in.
Right.
She's in. Joe Manchin
is Joe Manchin now do voting rights.
Right.
So he's disappointed us on everything else this year, but he's been good on the judicial appointments.
No, he has. And by the way, I would love to be wrong. I would love for there to be Republicans voting for her. She deserves to have every Republican in that room vote for her. She's eminently qualified.
She's qualified.
Right. There's no reason why she shouldn't be voted for by all the Republicans, but she won't. I mean, I just don't think they will. I think that they will.
Care.
Huh?
They don't care about having qualified people on the court. All they care about is power. All they care about is restoring white males, white Christian males to power.
Right. Exactly.
Or handmaidens.
Yep.
In Amy Coney Barrett's case.
Yeah.
Well, Amy Coney Barrett was special because Trump was trolling us with her. He knew how upset we would be to
About Ruth
replace Ruth Bader
Ginsburg.
Ginsburg with that. Just like we were upset that Bush replaced Thurgood Marshall with Clarence Thomas, which is now
Good Carolee.
Well, let's start with the fact that Clarence Thomas
Hold it up higher. Hold it up higher. Higher, higher, higher. There we go.
Is Ginni Thomas a threat to the country? Let's first of all say that we did not wish any harm to Clarence while he was in the hospital.
Speak for yourself.
Serious infection. You know what? I heard so many, right-wing asshats, excuse me. Oh, he's so cute.
Sorry.
No cats on the counter. I get it.
I know. That's the one place I don't want mine to.
No.
But, every time Ruth Bader Ginsburg announced that she had cancer, and you would see these ghouls come out and say, we pray that she dies. I am not going to do that. However, when I saw the news that he was released today, I do admit to being disappointed.
Right. Well, okay. So we can take the Mark Twain approach that we, would never wish death on anybody, but there are obituaries we wouldn't mind reading.
Yeah.
Or maybe he could be incapacitated to the extent that he would have to resign.
Well, and if neither of those are true, he ought to resign anyway.
Well, he ought to.
I am of the unpopular. I'm in the unpopular camp on this, where I don't blame people, and I don't think it speaks badly of people who. People who wanted Ruth Bader Ginsburg dead wanted them dead because they wanted power, wanted her dead because they were misogynists and they were punching down and they wanted power and they wanted to wield power over other people. The people who were coming out and saying, when they heard, who were, kind of going like this when they heard Clarence Thomas was in the hospital, were the ones that had been punched down and the ones who, had power stolen from them.
Well, but if you turn it on the other hand, these people who want power think they've been punched down because,
but you know what? They're wrong. There's a right and a wrong side to this, and they are wrong. Because the people that feel like they have had the power taken from them are the ones that have held the power the whole time.
And?
So I'm not, I don't have sympathy for them. That's the and. So I don't feel bad saying that power should be equalized.
Power should be equalized.
And distributed,
It's a very bad look to cheerlead for someone to die.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree with that. And and I'm actually, I don't, death has a whole set of consequences that don't impact what his power is, right? They impact family and they impact, people mourn. And I don't wish that on him. I just want him out of power. That's what I want.
Right.
So I to the extent that you, and I agree, it is that he should be out of power by hook or by crook, but maybe we should talk about why. Beyond the obvious.
Carolee, why don't you tell us what news broke yesterday?
So yeah, this is news that did not surprise me and shouldn't surprise anybody, but at least maybe now it'll get some air, because the national, Washington Post, Bob Woodward and Robert Costa reported that Ginni Thomas was texting with Mark Meadows from the day after the election all the way through possibly January 6th. We don't know. And then
There's
beyond.
a gap in the text.
Yes, there's a gap, like a 19-day gap in the text that essentially
are there really?
Or there are. We're not playing with you. There's a gap. They end here, and so we don't know whether she was texting him, for example, on January 6th. We don't know any of that because there's a gap in the texts. But essentially,
Mark Meadows was cooperating with the committee until he wasn't
right
with the committee.
But essentially, the 29 texts that they do have are really damning.
It's pretty alarming.
Yeah, I mean, so we now know, well, we knew this before, but we know it for sure now, that Ginni is a QAnon, and in the weirdest wings of the deepest wingers is where she is. Now, I could have told you this because Groundswell opened that door. I mean, I even wrote a post about all the people from Groundswell that were in the White House when Trump was elected.
Yeah.
Right. Steve Bannon and Seb Gorka. And I mean, all these guys that are just wingnuts and fucking crazy. And, Ginni Thomas is pals with all of them. Yeah. And I thought that would light people's hair on fire. Nothing I wrote and nothing anybody who worked for me, like Eliza or Susie, wrote that was about this set anybody's hair on fire. But now hair is on fire because these texts suggest that, in tandem with the fact that she was actually present at the insurrection, they suggest that she was definitely part of it.
Yeah. I mean, especially where she is like pushing Sidney Powell as the person who's the face.
What's with this distance?
Like,
right.
Oh my God, the wife of a Supreme Court justice wants Sidney Powell, sees her as an authoritative voice in the law.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean, not just an authoritative voice, but the voice that should be speaking for Trump. And I mean, this was all about, she was all behind John Eastman, who, by the way, was a clerk for Clarence Thomas.
Right.
Right. So,
together.
Yeah. I mean, it's all like this, right? Everything.
They see us as all like this conspiratorial socialist network.
It's all projection.
It is all projection.
Antifa, but they're the ones with the webs and the intricate and all the relationships. Just
well, and so this is the thing that everybody needs to understand, right? It's not just Ginni Thomas texting the White House chief of staff with these. I mean, he's on board with all of this, right? They're going back and forth, and he's saying good's going to triumph over evil and blah, blah, blah.
Jesus, the King of Kings is going to let,
Yeah, he's we're going to fight until there's no more fight left. He's reassuring her.
Yes.
Right. And everything. So, I mean, this is all going on in text messages, while Clarence Thomas is sitting on the court hearing cases about the election and then
not recusing.
And voting against releasing information.
Well, I was going to say that's the next piece, right? First, he's hearing cases about the election, then he's hearing cases about the insurrection and being like the sole dissent when it comes to releasing the text messages. Gee, there's a conflict of interest,
right?
Because his wife is going to be exposed as a result of that. And when there's one point in the article where she texts Mark Meadows and said, he tries to encourage her basically. And she texts him back and says, thanks for that. And the talk I just had with my best friend. Well, her best friend is widely understood to be Clarence Thomas. They refer to each other as that all the time.
Yeah, unlike Pence and Karen being mother and
they
refer to each other as my best friend.
My best friend. Okay.
Right. So
No, she
I mean,
doesn't
I
mention him
didn't know that
twice.
little piece of insider baseball.
She says my best friend.
Yeah.
That is her husband.
yeah. And I mean, you know what? We all have husbands. We talk to them about this stuff, right? I mean, this is why I've said all along, you can't say that her activism is separate from his role on the court, because they're going to talk to each other. They're in the same bed. You don't think she's going to talk to him about this stuff?
And don't
Of
forget
course.
that courts that are lower than the Supreme Court, where they have, actual ethics rules for the judges to follow, the judges routinely recuse themselves from cases that their family members may have an involvement in. The law does not say that the spouse of a justice should not be politically involved.
No,
But
no.
the appearance of prejudice, the appearance of a conflict of interest,
Right.
is denigrating to the authority of the law.
Exactly.
Right.
And the justices should all be as wary of that, even if we don't have ethics rules in place for them. And maybe it's time that those were enacted.
You think? Like past time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this all needs to happen. Like, I mean, along with court expansion, but this definitely needs to happen, and sooner rather than later.
And the sad thing is that, everybody's calling now to impeach Clarence Thomas because of this proof that we have grounds to impeach. But again, impeachment is a very difficult process, and we wouldn't get those 2/3 votes.
Yeah.
Because it's a 50-50 Senate.
We wouldn't.
Tribal. So why even start?
Well, I'm going to disagree with you on this. I do think that it would be hard to get the 2/3 votes, but I think not pressing for it and not pushing for it is tacit surrender to, if there's enough public pressure, impeachment won't be what happens. Resignation will be, and it'll be John Roberts asking for it.
Yeah.
Not us.
I was just going to ask, that was my next question, is where you think John Roberts is on all of this.
John Roberts has no power at the moment. Clarence Thomas is the leader of the right-wing faction on the court.
That may be, but John Roberts is still
the Chief Justice.
Chief Justice. I mean, John Roberts can start gatekeeping what cases they hear, right? In which cases they don't. I mean, he has power.
Done that.
How does Clarence Thomas have more power than?
Because he's a senior member of the conservative wing. Yeah, of a 6-member. Well, let's take John Roberts out of the mix. He's got the majority, right? 5 members are conservative. So
Roberts is the swing vote now.
Yeah, which is weird. Well, he's actually not even the swing vote. He's just like a swing to 5-4 instead of 6-3.
Right.
So, I mean, yes, Clarence Thomas has power on the court, but again, I think you push the groundswell. I mean, I want you to think about how the right wing would handle this if it were reversed, right? If it were reversed, Fox News would be 24/7 with this stuff on a loop over and over again. Every commentator they have, every opinion person they have would be literally freaking out on the air over this if it were a liberal judge. Don't you remember when Ruth Bader Ginsburg said something? I can't even remember what it was now. It was something about, there was something that she opined on. I didn't even, it was just like a throwaway comment. And Fox News went batshit crazy over it.
I remember the incident, but I don't remember
about
what
Trump. She made
it was something about Trump. I don't remember what it was, but it was something about him.
She was honest in her assessment of Trump,
right.
And
I'm going to look it up.
They decided it was very unbecoming of her, and she had to walk it back.
Right, and everything. And if something like this happened on our side of things, they would be all over this on their right-wing media and everything else. Right or wrong, that's what they would be doing. And the result would be that there would be a walk back, there would be a resignation. You know what I mean? Like, look at how they forced out Van Jones from the White House.
Yep.
Right? Just by freaking out. about it, and also Cass Sunstein. They tried to smear him, and I mean, I can name after name after name, and because Democrats tend to be more. I mean, some people call them cowards. I don't call them that. I think that they're just more ethical than Republicans are, right? That they give in to that pressure and they step back from whatever it is. So I think that, yeah, we're not going to probably have 67 votes, but there's no reason why we should lay off this. We should be hammering it night and day, every day. I'm going to go back. I'm thinking about relaunching all my research and going back and republishing all my emails.
You should.
And
republish all of those posts.
Yeah.
You should.
Thoroughly.
And, start making the charts again and all of it.
From 2010, from whatever the dates were, flashback.
Yeah.
I mean, she took $700,000 from Harlan Crow in 2010 to lobby against the Affordable Care Act. And she went around and organized everybody and, got the Tea Party wingers. I mean, she was a wingnut back then, right? And everybody said, well, she has a separate career from her husband, as if he's not hearing cases on the Affordable Care Act.
The writer,
Ruth Bader Ginsburg called him a faker, said he was fake.
There you go.
That's the thing that she said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, on Ginni, the writer Kurt Anderson grew up across the street from her.
Yeah.
And he said that, his parents were Republicans, but her parents were Goldwater, Bircher types. And he said even his parents thought they were just crazy. They were wingnuts back then. She grew up a wingnut. She has always been a wingnut.
Yeah. And always will be, So it's this is not new, but it is now news, and it's up to us.
It's very public and
in the spotlight, and it's up to us to keep it there.
Yes.
I mean, in my opinion, this cannot die away. The wife of a Supreme Court justice is also an insurrectionist.
Yep.
And that's the headline.
Not only a believer in the big lie, but one of the originators of the big lie.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned,
and pushed it. I mean, and pushed for it to be, into the mainstream. I mean, it's really egregious.
Yeah.
Like there's no justice from Clarence Thomas. There can't be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing to me is that the same week that this breaks is the week that Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson is going through these hearings. Yeah, this upright Black woman who's just got a spine of steel and is amazing, right? And everything. And you just think to yourself, there's like the universe has something going on here and we got to be part of it, right? Whatever that is, we got to. But the one thing we can't do is let this die. And if that means calling for impeachment, we call for impeachment. And, people on Twitter, there's been a lot of this week in a lot of different areas. People on Twitter are getting cynical and they're just saying, oh, nothing's ever going to happen, blah, 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 blah. Well, you know what? That's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
If you say that.
Nothing's going to happen if you don't do anything.
Exactly.
Well, that's the right wing's campaigns working.
Yeah.
And it's so close to the midterms and
we can't do that. I mean, you just cannot do that. And the media plays into it too, by the way.
Don't get me started on the media. Started on the media. I mean, the other piece of news this week that was absolutely infuriating was the release of Pomerantz's resignation letter in New York.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Where he states that he felt that he had enough proof to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that Donald Trump broke the law many times in his business before he was elected president. And this new New York DA is not pursuing it. They're returning the evidence now. which is another indication that it's not going to go to trial.
Not going anywhere.
And I want to know why it's so easy to recall people in California and not New York.
Not New York. I know. Right? I mean, this guy should be recalled. I mean, as soon as I saw what was happening with that and I read that resignation letter, I was like, the fix is in, because you know what? This is a kind of an open and shut case. And we already have Michael Cohen testifying under oath, a guy that went to jail for this, right? Yeah. That he did, in fact, fix the values of the properties to inflate them for loans and deflate them for taxes. Yeah. I mean, we have that evidence that's been sworn into the record. And so I would agree.
The documents.
They have the documents, right? They have the taxes. Yeah. They have all of it. So I mean, the fact that this guy is not pursuing it, to me, just smells like a buyout or something.
Awful. It smells awful.
Yeah. Yep. And so I would totally recall him too. Of course, I don't really understand why it took so long for the other DA. For some reason, all these names are escaping me today. But
was it Cy Vance who was in charge?
Cy Vance, right? Why? What took why didn't he file charges?
Because New York politics are so corrupt.
Yeah,
it's so. Yeah, and Donald Trump has he holds a lot of power still
in New York, apparently.
Yeah, and I would be willing to bet, he's got something on Alvin Bragg, or he paid him off, or whatever. But I mean, this is just dirty politics. It's just dirty. That's all it is. There's nothing.
See, and this is
justice oriented about it.
This is a story I don't understand why there aren't investigative reporters really sniffing around on this, because it feels to me like it wouldn't be that hard to find out. It wouldn't be that hard to find out what the motivation was for not pursuing this case.
Well, if Jane Mayer weren't,
Jane Mayer's awesome.
So hard on Ginni Thomas, maybe she could take a little break and take a look into Mark Pomerantz for us, because
we need 100 more Jane Mayers.
I would just like to say that Jane Mayer is amazing. She actually reached out to me for her articles, and I gave her what I had, but the way she was able to synthesize everything and put it together into a form that actually laid out a great case for why he should be recusing is a testimony to what talent she has in this area. As far as being able to just be cogent about it, because it's really easy to go down rabbit holes on this stuff. It's really easy to get into, because of the number of groups and the number of people that are involved, people that that are everyday names that are involved in this stuff. It's so easy to end up in a rabbit hole where you're just going around in a circle. And she was able to cut through that and just really get to the point. So I just applause for Jane Mayer.
He's one of the reasons why I subscribe to the New Yorker.
Yeah. She's about the only reason I subscribe to the New Yorker.
And Andy Gorwitz, right?
Good. So good.
Yeah, she's great. So, and she had a great article out today, even about how legal scholars are now saying that Thomas has to recuse. And she quotes, I don't know, 3 or 4 of them, basically, explaining that, they didn't think so before, but they do now because of.
Why didn't they think so before? What?
Well, so the whole argument has always been all along that
at least even on the Affordable Care Act cases, why didn't they think he needed to recuse on those?
Well, the whole argument has been that a wife's activism or career should not determine what this judge does, right? That there could be some kind of fake wall of walled garden where he lives and she does her activism over here. And maybe that's true for some people, but I don't think it's true for them. And I think if you look at his rulings, you see that it is not true for them, because he rules just right down the same line as what she's arguing in her lobbying. So I don't think there's any daylight. Huh?
He's her best friend.
Yeah, it's her best friend. Exactly. So, I mean, it's infuriating. I lost my shit with the Affordable Care Act back in 2010. That's why I've been on her ever since that. I've literally had a Google search, which is really hard, by the way. Google alert for her is super hard because Virginia is a common name, and so is Thomas. And Ginni Thomas is a common name, so you have to do it with an and, and it's just you get a lot of crap in the Google searches. That's all I'm going to say. But since 2010, I've had that every day. I get a little digest of what's in Google for her.
But I derailed you a little bit when you were starting to say that legal scholars are saying he should recuse.
Oh, well, so their point was that even Donna made this point earlier, even the appearance of a conflict of interest, it taints the court. So, and in this case, it's clear that there's a conflict of interest. It's not even just an appearance. There is a conflict of interest. He ruled on a case where now her text could have been part of that block of evidence. And he ruled against it. And he was the only, honestly, it was kind of dumb for him to dissent when he was only going to be the only one that did.
Yeah.
Right. Because it just totally exposed him for this. So, they're essentially saying he shouldn't be hearing anything about the election in 2024 or 2022 or anything to do with the insurrection. Mm-hmm. So, and I think they're right. But then I think he should resign. And if he's not going to resign, then I think he should be impeached. And impeached judges do happen.
Yes.
They do.
Well, time to write to our representatives.
Yeah, exactly. Light it up. I'm telling you, if you, and nobody wants to take a page out of the right wing, but sometimes we should. And this is one of those times where you can't be polite about this. You have to just be in the gutter with it all the way.
Speaking of the gutter.
What a great transition.
Donald Trump filed a batshit crazy lawsuit against Hillary Clinton and the DNC and several other Democrats yesterday. Alleging that they are ruining his life, that they conspired. He's like, now mind you that his attorneys, the ones who are currently working for him, are all jokes. And, he's using RICO. He's using RICO and saying that they are ruining his life with these allegations, these made up allegations about him with Russia. Now, mind you that the allegations could not be proven, but they could not be disproven. And we know that he had a campaign manager who gave campaign materials to a Russian operative. And we know that in the Mueller report, there are instances of all these ways that Russia tried to help his campaign and did help his campaign. And the thing that they could not prove was the collusion part.
Right.
Right. There was a Republican Senate report that said Russia clearly interfered in the 2016 election on behalf of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm
sorry. This lawsuit is going nowhere. This is just a way to fundraise. Right. But this is how Hillary fundraised, and I like it.
Right. So. Exactly. Right.
And after months of dormancy, I am getting 5 to 6 to 8 emails a day from the Trump campaign again.
Oh, yeah.
And the cynic in me is saying, okay, the Russian money has dried up because of Ukraine. And so they are trying to grift off of their supporters some more.
No more rubles?
The ruble isn't worth much.
I'm muting.
Yeah, I
My
mean,
coffee
well,
machine is loud.
so they're fundraising, and they already have more money in the bank than the RNC does.
And PNC combined.
Right. So, I mean, this is just like a big grift.
It's not just for campaigns. He's living off that money.
Of course he is.
Businesses are all failing. So he found something even more lucrative than real estate and hotels.
His sons actually said that they just got, they were living high on cash because they just got a $110 million loan.
They did.
I wonder what they used for collateral. What could it be? I mean, come on. This guy is just a fucking thief. Yeah. He really is. It's just amazing to me that the media doesn't call this out for what he is, instead paying him some kind of, respect that he doesn't deserve and everything. And I mean, really, at this point, there's so much wrong with how reporting is right now. Yeah. There's so much wrong with it. Like there's so much deference given. I was reading articles even about the hearings this week, right, where these bizarre theories that get introduced are treated as legitimate instead of just being right out of the box. This was something that wasn't true and move on, right? And that the problem with that is that feeds the people that are in the loop, in the feedback loop with regard to the, the bogus story. Yeah, there you go. Better emails. Yeah. So I'm taking this hat with me to Santa Cruz. It's going to be my dog walking hat for the week.
Oh, good.
So yeah, I mean, anyway, it's just, I don't know what to do about it. I really don't, beyond just criticizing them and trying to get them to do it.
I'm screaming into the wind because
calling them on it on Twitter, and I mean, and in our writing, and I don't know. It's the mediocrity of it is really frustrating.
It is. It is frustrating, and that's. Oh gosh, I'm sorry.
No, it's just because of how damaging it is, and it's not in the service of. They think they're doing it in the service of fairness, and what it is more paternalistic and condescending. And well, I mean, maybe I'm looking at everything from like a tired woman who sat through the hearings, and I might be being a little that part of me might be a little raw right now.
I don't know. I look at it as a tired woman who lived through Reagan, Bush,
right, Trump. That too. And I was just going to say a tired woman who escorts every week and bring past men who tell them what to do with their bodies, and men who tell me that I don't, that I'm not a Jew. I'm not a real Jew. I don't know what I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what goes on in my body. All this shit, like, so when I see these men in the media doing Carol Lee, like what you're doing, saying, giving something equal weight that doesn't deserve equal weight, or not calling, saying, oh, well, we're just doing this to be fair. We want to be fair. And it's not,
it's not.
Well, the thing is that
doing damage.
I took journalism classes in the wake of Watergate, and I learned about being objective and trying to show both sides and not taking sides. And the thing is that the news landscape has changed since then, and the rules need to change with it. You can't go by the old rules anymore when you've got a network of so-called news that is louder than the old school objective ones, to the point that the old school objective ones are taking their talking points from Fox and the others.
Well, there's no fairness doctrine anymore, and there's no, there's no there's barely any penalties for
lying.
Dominion is the only only one who seems to be succeeding in at least muzzling or taking the edge off the lies about them, be, you know, like at least exacting some kind of consequences or putting some kind of fear into, you know, the perpetrators of these lies. But you know, how do we
We don't all have the deep pockets and a business
exactly it's just not
to
doable,
a lot
and
of
nobody adheres, you know, like, you know,
it.
nobody adheres to this fairness doctrine anymore. They're allowed to go on TV and say what they want, which is why the journalists' approach needs to change.
Well,
And
the
I'm
fair
not even sure it needs to change, because calling things lies, like,
you can't even say that.
you can't even say that. But you know, I keep going back to
I
this
did.
weatherman.
I'm seeing on TV. They won't even say lies
No, they
Yeah,
won't.
yeah.
in the
No,
newspaper.
on our site we say it all the time, but you know, like, you know, I keep going back to this weatherman analogy where the, you know, it's like it's the weatherman's job to tell you the truth. You know, it's not the way, if you have somebody saying it's, you know, it's raining outside and somebody saying it's sunny outside, the weatherman doesn't say, well, this guy says it's raining and this guy says it's sunny. It's the weatherman's job to tell you what is actually happening. No, it's raining outside. The person who says it's sunny is not telling you the truth.
Right.
You know, it's the journalist's job to inform, not to give equal weight to both sides. And in some cases, not even to present both sides. I mean, when did every side become worthy of presenting?
Well,
Like,
that's the point. When did it? It was only
journalism never, when, you know, it's as if, you know, during Watergate times or whenever it was that you took your journalism classes post Watergate, or, you know, in the wake of Watergate, I'm sure they wouldn't have told you that had somebody come up and said, you know, a scientist come up and told you that there has just been a brand new discovery that it's possible to mate, you know, a grocery store bag with a head of lettuce, and then you'll get a kitten.
Yeah.
That you wouldn't feel compelled necessarily to present that as a side of a scientific argument. When, you know,
Unless Donald Trump said it.
Exactly. But no, but that's my point. Like, not every view, you know, like I thought that even back, like, even though you were taught to be fair and to consider if there are two sides to something, some sides are not worthy of presenting.
Right. True. They're not. But we have this ridiculous.
Like, you would think that at least they would exercise some judgment.
But that would require, I mean, this is where it requires actual judgment to do it, right? And they're not trained.
I'm talking about MSNBC. I'm talking about CNN. I'm talking about the liberals.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it requires, it's lazy to do the both sides journalism.
It's lazy.
And it's lazy because you don't have to actually evaluate anything. You just go with what with what both sides say. And that's a problem. It's a big problem. And it's one that we call out a lot on our site, and others do too. But, you know, some days it just feels like you're shouting into the, you know, into a void, and it's not like being heard.
And Media Matters for America, and who else? I mean,
yeah. I mean, I like to start my day with Eric Bollert's
newsletter
just to twist my stomach in knots.
Yeah.
But you know what? He's very validating.
Yes. Oh yeah. No.
I feel that I when I read Eric Bollert, I feel like, yes, thank you.
Yes, he's another one that MSNBC should put on the payroll and have there every single day.
Yep. Agreed.
But then he would invalidate a lot of what they're doing. So I guess
this is why I never buy the bullshit that you know, there's a liberal media. It's not. MSNBC has no vested interest, it seems, in
well, MSNBC is owned by Comcast, and Comcast is notoriously conservative, and you know, so they're
MSNBC did not set out to be a liberal network.
No,
Right.
they didn't.
Roger
Right.
Ailes.
Like, I'm trying to disabuse whatever our 12 listeners.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to give
Never
people
they
like the
discovered
ammunition that they need to
when
understand
Keith
that
Olbermann
this is
took
when
off.
right.
Yeah.
They discovered, oh, there's profit in this.
Mhm.
Right.
So they're the closest thing we've got
Yeah.
to a liberal network. But a truly liberal network, I don't know why AT&T, if they had to fund OAN, they couldn't have funded something for us.
Seriously.
Well, because AT&T is also very conservative and very corporate, I mean, they're
Jim points out all of the companies that are impossible to boycott keep giving to insurrectionists.
I know. Insurrectionists, there was also an article the other day. It wasn't just insurrectionists, it was
People
Republicans. Yeah, it was
Republicans that are supporting anti-trans legislation,
right.
anti-gay legislation, anti-abortion legislation.
Yeah. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, not just a $2,000 here and there. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it's corporations. Huh?
This is usually
this was Judd Legum who
Judd
wrote
Legum,
this.
okay.
Yeah.
He's another one who's really good.
Yeah,
you guys, we have about 3 minutes left.
Oh my! I was going to look it up, but okay.
I know. Let's see, Eliza, you're going to spend your weekend trying to feel better.
And
Carolee, you're spending your weekend watching your daughter's cute little dog.
And
yes.
Pictures, please.
Oh, yes. Taco pictures will be coming.
I'm going to be spending my weekend binging Bridgerton.
That's right. It's coming back, so I hear.
Today. Dropped today.
Very exciting. I just started watching Killing Eve. That's
Killing Eve's great.
Killing Eve is good.
Yeah.
Killing Eve is very good. The first season is the best.
That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm
definitely.
Jodie Comer, amazing, and Sandra Oh has always been amazing. So
my goodness.
So that's really good, and the Oscars are on Sunday, so we'll have a lot of reasons to complain.
Are we having an Oscar party this year?
Oh my God.
No, my last Oscar party was in 2020 before the pandemic got really bad.
I remember because I still make the cocktail that you made for that. Yeah. So, yeah.
What was that cocktail? You should post it, or you should invent a new one.
I didn't invent it. I looked it up. I was trying to do like an old Hollywood type of theme. And
repost it or something.
I will send you the recipe. We've talked about it. It's called The Last Word.
Right.
But it has nothing to do with Lawrence O'Donnell. It is a cocktail recipe from the 1920s.
Yeah.
I would like to leave you with a last word from Lawrence O'Donnell, by the way, since I know it's a tweet that's been going around where having to do with Ketanji Brown Jackson's hearings, and it was just a little piece of info that he dropped that I did not know, that there didn't used to be confirmation hearings for Supreme Court justices until the first Jewish justice was nominated.
Yes. The more things change, the more they stay the same.
White waspy man. I'm telling you, they're just.
Yep. Yeah, and I learned.
I apologize on their behalf.
No, it's not you. It's not you.
I know it's not me. It's them.
I refuse to apologize on anybody's behalf but mine.
Now that we have confirmation hearings, I was glad that we got the opportunity to protest Amy Coney Barrett and Brett Kavanaugh.
Same.
And I think that
we can't put that one back.
I'm proud of our side too. I know some people were frustrated with our side. Even Eric Boehlert was like kind of trashing our side a little bit today, and I was a little sad to see that. I don't agree with him on what he said. I thought we did a very good job.
John Stower had a wonderful piece today.
Oh yeah. Even Dylan Stahl gave Dick Durbin a 9 out of 10 on the way he handled the hearings, and I really do think Mazie Hirono was outstanding. I think our bench is fabulous. John Ossoff was
Oh,
stellar.
yeah.
He was.
I'm proud of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on that note,
Yeah.
that is our
Charlie.
week. Join us next week at our new location, mamacrats.buzzsprout.com, our YouTube channel, or find us on your favorite podcast service such as iTunes, Google, and Amazon Music. And be sure to check our Facebook page for updates. I'm Donna Schwartz-Mills saying goodbye for the Mamacrats. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Mamacrats Mama Chat is part of the Demcast family of podcasts.